Hello, I'm Christopher Lopez, and this is the StarCraft Observer. The show centered around the real-time strategy game StarCraft and its real stories from the community. We talk to artists, streamers, players, creators about their first encounter with the game and how it's changed their lives. When it comes to StarCraft, not a day goes by where there isn't something going on. If you look on the Team Liquid website, the StarCraft Reddit forum, or if you follow a few people within the StarCraft community via Twitter, there's always a tournament being shared, be it Alima League, DreamHack, GSL, Wordy TV, Cheeseadelphia, or the Intel Extreme Masters, just to name a few. And they all have one thing in common, a prize, and usually in the form of some currency that the tournament winner earns as they battle their way through the bracket. But nothing comes close to the tournament that we'll be covering on today's episode. Yes, it has a bracket, it offers points, and it's your normal StarCraft tournament rules, with each participant playing a best of 3 that leads up to a best of 5 finals. But before we get into that any further, let's listen to this clip of one of its longtime supporters to get a bit of insight as to why they've been supporting this tournament for so long and why they enjoy it. Here's Mark. When did you hear about this tournament?
Good question. So I didn't necessarily hear about it. I think I probably missed maybe the first season or maybe the first couple. Just the time slot, the NA evening, Sunday or Monday, whatever it was back in the day, time slot worked really well for me. I was on the road a lot, and Sunday was pretty much the only day where I could kind of actually sit down and say, I'm going to be able to, watch a tournament live at this particular point in time. But these smaller tournaments, even historically, they not to make that sound like a bad thing or anything. It was easier to kind of interact with people and easier to kind of have that sense of friendship with others when you're watching the game. And, a lot of the players after they got bounced out or they lost their match, they would come into the chat and talk about their games and stuff like that. So the sense of community and the sense of just being able to interact with people about it was, I found, a lot easier, a lot less intimidating, especially, if you don't know a ton about the game, you don't play, the game yourself. I found that to be attractive as far as just the size of the tournament was there. So, outside of that, just what kept me coming back was, once you actually got to know people and saw the same names over and over again, you kind of grew a little bit of a friendship with people, even though you're only talking to them maybe once a week or once every other week. So yeah.
As previously mentioned, it has a best of 3 that leads up to a best of 5 finals, and depending on the week, 10 to 16 players participating. But the one thing that sets it apart from the rest of your average tournament is the final prize that everyone has a chance of winning. This tournament has been around for quite some time now, and at the time of making this, looking at their calorie count, it's at 222,288 calories consumed. That's a lot of calories, which equals to about 93 of these prizes having been given out. So let's talk to a longtime winner of today's tournament who has won 21 times.
Yep. So I'm John, or Starkiller. So I'm a team captain of Alpha X. I'm 22 years old. I'm in my senior year at Rampo College. And yeah, I play a lot of StarCraft.
How did you first hear about the pizza pie?
This is a long time ago. I think I saw it on Challenge or an advertisement somewhere. It's all started 3 or 4 years ago. It was a long time. This is back in high school for me, and I'm a senior in college now. I think it was Shazam Poof. I think he either messaged me on Discord about it, or I just ran into it on Challenge. I looked up Challenge StarCraft tournaments, and I think that came up.
Did you train very hard for this tournament?
Well, it wasn't my main focus because I was focused on other tournaments as well. I was competing in Philadelphia a lot. I was competing in WCS Montreal and all these other WCS tournaments at the time. But it was one of those tournaments I really liked because it was a little different. It was every Sunday night kind of thing. And it was kind of cool because it wasn't a cash reward. It was more a pizza reward at first. So it was a little bit different, but I thought it was really cool.
And what do you remember from that tournament as you were competing?
I remember, back in the older day, 4 years ago, there was a lot, the competition wasn't as fierce. Now you have more players Special and stuff and much higher levels, a lot more pros playing it now. Back then it was usually me versus Riser in the finals, most of them. He still plays in a lot of them too. But I remember we consistently fought each other in a lot of the finals, and it was like a really fun vibe because I got to know like Shazam Poof a lot better from it. And we always joked around that like once I graduated college, I'd start buying him pizzas. It was just really fun and stuff like that.
So, according to the Hall of Fame, you won how many?
21 pizzas now, something like that.
Wow, dude.
A lot of carbs. A lot of carbs.
So, how was it when you won your very first pizza?
My parents were a little bit surprised. They're like, "Whoa," I guess I was in high school at the time, so I kind of just bought it. I got I got the pizza, and they were like, "Whoa, you got food? It wasn't cash. It was a little bit different, right?" And then like throughout the time, I was in college and stuff, so when I got the pizzas there, I would get it from like my roommates. They always thought that, that's when they're like, "Oh my god, you got to play more StarCraft. You're winning us some good stuff now."
So you didn't eat all these pizzas to yourself. You pretty much like gave them to your roommates, and your family was really surprised because you're just like feeding the family essentially.
Yeah, I got some dinners for once for them. It's not just them making stuff for me and them buying food. I could support too.
Oh man. So they were really proud of you for like winning this pizza essentially then, right? Like
yeah, no, they were like really cool. They thought it was really cool. They always joke around and stuff and be like, "Oh, are you buying dinner tonight?" Like that type of thing. It was funny, and it's like they've been like my dad and like some of my family, they've been to like Philadelphia when I competed or like DC, stuff like that. So like they knew I was really into StarCraft at the time and like competing everywhere. So like they knew what I could do, and they thought it was just kind of cool that I could win something like this, and like my name would get like a little bit bigger from something like that too.
What was your most memorable pizza?
That's a tough question. I'd say probably when I was mentioned on the Pylon Show. That was really cool because it became like after the first time, it became this consistent thing. With like, oh my, Starkiller won another pizza, he won another one, and then it was like, it was just really cool because I would always get like mentioned by like Artosis, and it was just like it was a little bit different, and that's when like people started to like recognize the name, and more people signed up for the tournament, and it really like started to get a lot more momentum from there.
The Pizza Pie Tournament, a tournament where players face off to win its most prized asset, a pizza. And as I was working on the story, I discovered that the people behind the Pizza Pie Tournament are truly passionate and care about this unique StarCraft tournament. And before sitting down with today's guest, I didn't realize just how much hard work goes into making a tournament that revolves around a pizza. And this tournament has been around for a very long time. And it all started with one person who goes by the name of Shazam Poof. And I sit down with Shazam Poof for this month's episode. We had a wonderful talk about his upbringings, his encounter with StarCraft, his college years, and touch on various moments in his life that would eventually lead up to the very first inception of the Pizza Pie. We also get to hear firsthand just how the Pizza Pie became so well known amongst the StarCraft community and how it all came together. And before we start, to make things easier for everyone to follow, we'll refer to Shazam Poof as Shazam during this episode. Shazam grew up in small suburbia of upstate New York. He had a group of friends that would eventually form your neighborhood kid biker gang, where they would just play and ride throughout the neighborhood. And when things would begin to die down, they would occasionally stop at a friend's house and play video games together. The only problem, though, was Shazam didn't have a console. The reason being was that his parents preferred him to play outside rather than push video games on him, and fearing that he may never see the light of day again. The usual parental paranoia that some of us faced. But after begging his parents for a console, they would eventually break and purchase him his very first Game Boy Color. When you got your Game Boy Color, like, did it come with a game, or did you have to buy a game as well?
Absolutely it did. Let's see if I can find this game. Because I only remember what it was about. Game Boy Color. Let's see. Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown.
I was totally not expecting that.
Yep, Shrek Fairy Tale Freakdown. That was, so when my parents finally did break, that was the game I got.
Gotcha.
And so like I wasn't allowed to get Pokemon.
Oh
but yeah, no, it was like an 8-bit Shrek themed fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I like remember like Shrek had a move where he'd like fart on people or something. You could play as like anybody. You could play as like Lord Farquaad, the gingerbread man. Like it was the stupidest game. So dumb.
Nah, as long as you play the gingerbread man, little Gingy. And how come you weren't allowed to get Pokemon?
My mom just didn't want me playing it all the time. And so she thought that Pokemon might lead to that, whether that be through her friends or who were also mothers talking about having issues with, their children playing Pokemon too much. So she just was like, I'm not going to get it. So yeah, so I got Shrek Fairy Tale freaked out.
Yeah, that's hard to imagine. Like all the neighborhood moms getting together, like, okay, we got to solve this Pokemon issue. Like, what's going on here? Like, my kid's staying up late, talking about 151 of these guys. Like, what is this thing?
No, it was a problem. It was really plaguing the neighborhood.
With Pokemon plaguing the neighborhood and Shazam's parents finally breaking and getting him a console, they would soon get his brother a PC. And Shazam would start playing games such as Civilization, Age of Mythology, Oregon Trail, and any game that had that sort of educational dynamic to it. Then eventually one night, he would eventually encounter the RTS that would change his life. Around what time do you encounter StarCraft?
So the first time I ever set my hands on StarCraft was I was at a sleepover with the biker gang of the neighborhood that I ran around with. And they had, I want to say their family had like 4 boys or something like that. So they had multiple consoles and like multiple computers in a room.
Oh, that house.
And so, yeah. And so there was maybe like 10 or 15 of us all having a sleepover for somebody's birthday. And I just happened to be at one of the computers and they're talking about all the games that are on it. And it's just like StarCraft. I think that they were playing it and I sort of jumped in and I just immediately was captivated by it. For whatever reason, I just got completely sucked into this game. And I think I spent most of the sleepover at that computer by myself, just playing StarCraft. And so that's when I was first introduced to it. But nothing really came of that night. There was just one day where I was doing homework and I was on YouTube, and YouTube had that trending tab where the video, somebody was watching professional StarCraft. And I was like, oh, that looks like the game at the sleepover. But I never really thought about that game too much until that moment right then and there. And so when I clicked on that video, I didn't own StarCraft. I didn't have it. I didn't really partake in it until it became that, hey, I'm going to watch the OSL or the MSL every single night that I get home now. Then eventually, I remember I asked my mom to get this game. I think she went to like Target and she has no idea what's going on. She's a mom. And she's like, I'm looking for StarCraft. She mentioned that like the guy didn't believe her. He was like, why would you want that game? It's really old. And so, because like when she came home, she was like, hey, I think I got what you wanted. But the guy at the electronics section was really confused why I wanted to buy StarCraft. And I'm like, no, that makes sense. That's fine. You got the right one. Give me.
Now that Shazam finally had a copy of StarCraft, he would continue to play it throughout his middle school years. The StarCraft scene wasn't that big in his school, and he can only recall just about 5 other kids playing it. When he would play against those other kids, he mentioned that he would just get stomped on because they had a better understanding of the game. But this never deterred him away from playing the game. He stuck with it and played casually. But as he previously mentioned, having come across various YouTube videos of people playing StarCraft professionally, Shazam became more heavily invested into the esports scene via YouTube, watching his favorite StarCraft pros. This would continue up until the end of high school, where he would eventually hear the news about StarCraft 2. You were in high school. Was there anywhere in particular where you just like, oh my gosh, like SE2, like where were you when the news was announced?
I remember that summer being a very long wait. I pretty sure I just found out about it through it had to have been on Team Liquid, where I'd go and try to look at things of when new things were happening. Be like, where's more StarCraft to watch? And then trying to get into the beta, trying to, get my hands and play as soon as absolutely possible. And there was huge talk about this right at the very beginning and be like, this is everybody else's chance to catch the Koreans again. Because it was almost at like that point, everybody gave up. There's no amount of trading that will have me able to be the top stage. And all of a sudden, okay, we're resetting. And so I remember sort of like jumping on that. I was be like, those dumb kids who beat up on me when I was trying to play StarCraft 1 for the first time, they're going to get it now. And so, yeah, just I remember just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally I dropped. And I think, I did play the campaign first. At most that took me a day or two. And then it was off to the races, trying to climb that ladder.
And did you have the same excitement when I mean, because after Wings of Liberty, you're just like, okay, they're gonna do like another 2, kind of like what they did with StarCraft.
Right, and that was well known.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it was one of the things that I knew kind of from the beginning was a little bit heartbreaking, but I was like, there's no way this is gonna work the way that they're hoping it does. Because my college had a StarCraft team. It wasn't very good. It was really more of like a grumpy old man's club. When it came to Heart of the Swarm, a bunch of people sort of pick it up again. And when it comes to that stuff, and I remember the clans thing being huge, and I was like, oh yeah, I could find more people that play. Then once I joined my first clan, that's when I was like, hey, let's start doing things, because I like playing in them and doing stuff. I think kind of at that time frame, like it starts to just beat down on me the fact that there really isn't a lot of people that I'm playing with here. There's only so many times you can hop onto ladder and get smacked around and then go to sleep and wake up and again and be like, hey, that sounds like fun. Let's do that again by myself.
And then what was it like being part of that clan?
Oh, it was great. I had people to play with. I even remember for whatever reason, I don't know why I did it this way, but I Googled StarCraft clans. I didn't and I went through Google page or like web pages. For some reason, I didn't go through TL. I think Reddit was still a thing at that time. I didn't go through Reddit, and I just Googled StarCraft teams, and I would like go to team websites. And then I'd like look and it'd be like, here's our StarCraft team. And it's like a section, but like the section for Call of Duty, 100 players. And then the StarCraft division was like 4 people. I'm like, I don't want that. Get that out of here. And then I finally found a website and they were a StarCraft team. And I was like, perfect. I didn't do any other research. I found a group of people who played StarCraft. The first one, I was like, this is my team. I try to get in and the clan tag's full.
Oh yeah,
and because they were a clan from Wings of Liberty from Brood War, like onward, so they already had a group of people. So they're, and I like messaged the guy like every day. I was like, hey, is there any room on the clan tag? I don't know why I was so fixated on joining this one clan, and then eventually there's people who were inactive. They kicked them out and then let me in, and I remember then like just playing best of 5s with people in the clan. And that was always fun to me because, like the ladder, you meet someone, you fight and what have you. But when you play a best of 3 or a best of 5 with somebody, pro players in Brood War, they even did that stuff. So it's like at that time, you're a pro, right? You're doing the same thing. You got to come up with multiple builds. You got to, think it out. It's more of a mind game, just like this one game. You got to outsmart somebody for a couple. We're doing something here. And that was sort of like my first sort of dive into a group of players actually like doing that stuff together.
They kicked off inactive users. Did you have to like email them or sorry, not even email them. Did you have to like message them in game, like letting them know?
Yeah, I bothered him every single day. His contact was on the website. I added him as a friend. And then like every night I'd just be like, hey, any room to join? Hey, is there any room to join? Just over and over and over again until I got in. That might have even been a time that you didn't like, you just had to have their information and you can add them, which is like how I'm friends with Day 9 in StarCraft still, and he doesn't know that, but me and him are friends.
Nice. And what was it about this clan that just like, I need this? Like, what was that?
I don't know. I think like they were very structured in their way that they like did things, and they were big too. It was like I was like, wow, I didn't think in me in my own little world, only a couple people ever played StarCraft. So I was like, there was just a bunch of people in there. It seemed very active. And I just, for whatever reasons, I had my sights dialed in, and I was like, this is the group I'm going to be a part of.
Right. What else do you remember being a part of that clan? Like, you had the best of fives.
I remember that me as a diamond player was the best member of that clan, because I remember that there was a point in time where there was another clan who kept on picking off players who were better and inviting them to their clan because they had better players.
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped at me, and apparently I was the cutoff.
Oh, man.
and so for a moment in time, I was the best player on the team. I was diamond for like 27 seasons before I hit masters, and so this is like just probably maybe into my 10th or 15th season as diamond.
And what do you think helped you get to masters?
What helped me get to masters? Well, I don't think I got to masters in that clan. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Did that rival clan come back and be like, hey, dude, we need you?
I will say there was eventually somebody left another clan and joined us who was very good at the game. And he was sort of like my first foray into somebody who was that buddy to me, who was leaps better. Like in a best of 99, I'd never beat him. With that, all of a sudden, sort of getting exposed to those higher ranked players, and maybe this wasn't really how it was, and I guess maybe I'm kind of a little bit numb to it now, but like you take a look on that list of the grandmasters and you're like, these people are awesome. I dream of being one of these great players. They were like the cool kids in school, right? You don't sit at their lunch table. They sit by themselves and talk amongst themselves or what have you. And now when it comes to like the people who are on top of that list, I have them all here in Discord. and I could shoot them a message, and I bug them all the time, probably to their own annoyance of, hey, there's a tournament going on.
And how was college for you, like during this time?
Yeah, so we had our team, and it kind of actually it fell apart once the person who was running it graduated. No one really picked up the mantle, and I was doing other extracurriculars, so it wasn't like it wasn't my main focus in college. It was very much a side of a side thing. It would be what I would do most nights, playing StarCraft, but then looking to graduate, and a couple of other my extracurriculars were taking up more and more time that were more important for getting a job out of school than, writing on your resume, hey, been diamond 27 seasons. So there was that was my senior year in college. That was the first time I ever took a break, and I believe the first time there was a ladder season that I did not have a rank in.
Oh, wow, man.
I essentially had a job, had multiple jobs. I remember the new season came up, and I was like, I don't know if I'll ever have time. And then I just sort of had to put it out of my brain and not think about it, so that way I wouldn't get upset.
And so your senior year of college, you're just all your time is taken up because you're just it's life, and in the back of your mind is StarCraft. And you mentioned that you tried not to think about it because it'd just only make you upset. What was it that was making you upset exactly? Was it just like the ladder or not being able to play?
I think it was just not being a part of something I cared so much about. I still watched a little bit because I could watch and pay attention to my work enough to where it wouldn't be too bad. I didn't hang out with a lot of the people I spent a majority of my time with. All of a sudden, I didn't spend any time with them at all. And the doing events or sort of helping with things, all of a sudden I stopped doing that stuff. I sort of just went cold turkey. And it was definitely something that I knew I was going to get back to, but I really couldn't have that distraction. And so I was just like, don't think about it, and, just make it through the year, and then you can get back to it. Because once college was done, I was going to have a lot more free time.
Coming up after the break, Shazam finishes college, picks up StarCraft where he left off, and then the pizza pie. Hi everyone. If you're enjoying this podcast so far and would like to keep up with the StarCraft Observer, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter, where not only will you get updates about the latest episodes, but you also get to see some beautiful StarCraft-related fan art. Once again, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. Want to support or participate in the Pizza Pie tournament? Head on over to thestarcraftobserver.com/thepizzapie, where you can find the challenge page and you'll be able to see when the next Pizza Pie tournament will take place. Once again, you can head on over to www.thestarcraftobserver.com/thepizzapie. That's the pizza pie, one word. Welcome back. We left off with Shazam having to fully stop playing and was no longer setting up small events for his clan due to his final year of college being very difficult. But once he got past that final year of college in 2015, he was eager to get back to his clan and start contributing right away. But a lot changed over the course of 1 year. The clan that he was a part of got bigger, and with it, new members, which is great and all, but among those changes, his friend and the person who was running the clan before Shazam's hiatus had left, and leadership changed dramatically too. At first, Shazam was okay with this, but he would soon be coming up against a lot of friction points in how things were being run with the newer members. This would go on for some time, until that same friend, who was running the clan before Shazam's departure, came back. They would go on to form a new clan, Lit Esports. That one season can feel like an eternity, essentially, or that 1 year. How did it feel coming back again?
Well, so this is where sort of the timing lined up. So I graduated in May of 2015. And then was it November of 2015 that Legacy of the Void came out?
November 10th, 2015.
Yeah, November 10th. Yep, there it is. And so I think by that point there was already hype building up around it. And so I remember getting back with the old clan that I was with, but a lot of my good buddies sort of happened to not be there or play a little bit less. And during that time of trying to run events, but I wasn't really dictating how exactly things were going. I was just running the events. And, there was this hype of, the final expansion coming out. But there definitely was a level of frustration. I wouldn't say that I wasn't having a good time, but at the end of the day, I was like, I feel like this could be better. And so then when Legacy of the Void came out, that's when some of the people that I hung out with kind of came back. And that's when Discord was really starting to take hold. And then we started Lit Esports, had a whole new organization because these people I've already worked well with and creating a group to, foster playing in events and things like that. And that's where really it was able to kick off, where we had a large player base with us. We had a lot of good players with us. We had people who had time to organize the structure to try to hold things down. And that's really where I think event-wise things started to take off and more of I'm learning from past mistakes and having a little bit of extra free time now that I'm out of college, where I was able to come back from taking that break and sort of use that pent-up energy I got from not being able to play to spending not only time playing StarCraft, but those auxiliary StarCraft functions to where, as I'm getting older and older, I spend way more time on than I actually do, play StarCraft.
When did the first pizza pie happen?
So it happened exactly at June 26, 2016 at 7 p.m. Because I still have access to the first challenge page.
And how was it that you came up with the pizza pie?
The pizza pie was a Let's Esport joke. So that came about when someone might have even said like, "Hey Shazam, are we ever going to have a tournament for a pizza or something like that?" Of like, man, I'm hungry. when's the next tournament? Because I need to eat, something like that. I was like, well, let's just cut out the middleman. And then, we held the first Pizza Pie, which I, for the first time, knew some Grandmasters players. It was my first tournament that wasn't entirely revolved around one clan. It was an open tournament to anybody. And I was like, well, I can't do this every week. I'm fresh out of college. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it bi-weekly. And then all of a sudden I was like, it just hit me. I was like, okay, well, it's the Pizza Pie bi-weekly. And then that was the name of the tournament. I went into Photoshop and I did some crappy editing where, the PPBW. And then I just, every 2 weeks, I just ran that tournament. And then we were on our way.
With Shazam finally starting the Pizza Pie bi-weekly on June 26th, 2016, he would continue on for about a whole year, running tournaments, gathering players, keeping track of brackets, having to get casters for said tournaments, getting someone to stream the events. And over the course of this time, he's become an expert on how to order pizzas. It's not as easy as it sounds, and the first thing that comes to mind is banks flagging your card and preventing the charge from going through, which can complicate things, but there were other things that Shazam didn't think of at the time. And out of all those pizzas, which one was the hardest one?
I think it was Panda Bear Me. Was it Panda Bear Me? I'm almost positive it was Panda Bear Me. I know I have it written down somewhere because I've talked about it with people before. But things come up and you don't think about them even if you should have. Well, when I was ordering a pizza, they need an email address and a phone number. I just punched in my own email address and phone number. I never thought about it. And Panda Bear Me at the time lived in an apartment complex. And the pizza delivery guy didn't know which building. And so what do? You call me and go, hey, man, what building you live in? And I'm like, I'm 1,000 miles away, man. I have zero idea. And I have to stall while I'm frantically messaging Panda Bear Me on the lovely StarCraft 2 chat of hey, this guy doesn't know where to bring the pizza. Tell me how to describe where you live so that way we can get it. And he was talking, he was this building, and then he went outside, and thank God we were able to get his pizza to him. But that was definitely one of the more stressful ones. There was one time where one of the people that won lived in a very small town in the middle of America, and the only place that sold pizza was a gas station. And so we had to figure that whole thing out. Luckily, I forget who that was, but he was awesome about the whole process. So that one wasn't really hard. It was just all of a sudden we have to shift gears and figure out a new way of doing it, because I can't just go on Domino's.com and get a pizza set.
Definitely a few funny moments, but it really goes to show just how complicated at times getting a pizza to one of your tournament champions can be. But throwing tournaments like this does come at a cost. Obviously, the pizza. In the beginning, it was a medium-sized cheese pizza, and the pizza had to be ordered from the closest pizza chain, either Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars, Papa John's, and whatever other pizza chain there is. And you had to be able to order it online. Once all that was figured out, and depending on the chain, a cheese pizza averaged out to be anywhere from $13 to $16 without tip. So on average, Shazam was probably spending anywhere from $18 to $20 per pizza, depending on the tip amount. All this every 2 weeks. But eventually, Shazam would give up on it in 2017, bringing his beloved tournament to a halt. The Pizza Pie goes on, and it eventually takes a break for a year. Why did it take a break?
I think at that point, I'm a very money-centric focused person, and so it was probably part throwing money into a black hole. It didn't really seem to be going anywhere. Not that I really expected it to. If it took off, there's always more of a reason to stay by it. It felt like a good time to cap it off. I'd been doing it for exactly a year. And so I was like, well, it was fun. I was running other tournaments as well. So it's not like I was taking a break from the tournament scene. I sort of just gave up on one of my projects to focus on other ones.
And I just want to mention too that a few months before giving up on the Pizza Pie biweekly, the team that Shazam helped create, Lit Esports, its competitive side fizzled out, and creating tournaments became less and less frequent, and the team Discord just became a place to hang out. And as you heard in the previous clip, Shazam was beginning to run other tournaments, and naturally he would join another clan to keep his love for tournaments going. That clan, All Inspiration. After dropping the Pizza Pie bi-weekly and making it into his new clan in 2017, Shazam began running other tournaments, which focused on StarCraft. But while running all these events, the Pizza Pie bi-weekly lingered on in the back of his mind. And it would not be until a fellow team member who goes by the name of Ednal and who Shazam worked on previous events with messaged him on Discord one day. I got in touch with Ednal to see if he recalls the conversation he had with Shazam, and he was kind enough to send a screenshot of their initial conversation. The screenshot dates back to May 18th, 2018, and Ednal sends the following message. Hey, I'm thinking of running a semi-consistent tournament this summer, but I want to offer some sort of prize for it. I'm working, so we could do something small every other week or something. I was thinking about how I'd like to do it, and I realized your PPBW, Pizza Pie Biweekly, was great. Small prize every other week. Are you free tonight so I can talk to you about it? The message goes on asking Shazam more questions on how exactly the Pizza Pie Biweekly is run and if he's okay with him taking the idea of having a tournament revolve around a pizza that's a prize. Then, later that night, Shazam replies with the following. My girlfriend's in town, so I wouldn't exactly be available until Sunday, but I'll give a brief rundown. I'm totally fine with it, but I was also thinking about bringing it back as well. So I think that leaves us with two good options. Either we could work together in some fashion, or run them on opposing weeks and promote each other. And it goes on to answer Ednal's questions on how he ran the tournament. So with Shazam having worked with Ednal in previous events and liking everything about the way he ran things when it came to tournaments, naturally, Shazam was on board. Then, on June 24th, 2018, the two would bring back the tournament, this time named the Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly Supreme. It was also around this time that a show had just begun and was just in its infancy, one that we all hold near and dear to our hearts and well known throughout the entire StarCraft community. And with the return of the Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly, got its attention.
Okay, done with that thing. On to the next thing. The Pizza Pie Supreme is back with a tournament every Sunday. The winner gets a pizza. I never knew it was a thing in the first place, but it is back. Open to all
Thank
leagues.
God.
Check in 30 minutes before it starts. Yeah. all-inspiration.challenge.com/PPBW30.
Oh,
All right. Well, I mean,
mackerel.
get a
Okay.
pizza. It's sick. Do they order the pizza for you? Do we know? Do we know about this?
Yeah, and you know what's going to happen, of course, is some guy from like Uzbekistan's going to win, and they're going to be like, go ahead, order it now to my village. And they're like, well,
Yeah. It's like, we don't have pizza in this city. It's like, oh no, this is going to be very tough. Okay, so cool. I mean, a pizza tournament, it's a little bit different.
yeah.
Now, here's the thing. This is a question we got to ask Todd about this. How do you record winning a pizza on esportsearnings.com?
Yeah, what's the value of that, I guess?
Well, I don't think it records that. How many pizzas has Todd won?
I would say
don't know.
0. I don't think Todd's won a single pizza.
Probably
actually.
not. Maybe we should have pizza earnings, pizzaesportsearnings.com, and just see how many pizzas everyone's won. All right, done with that thing. On to the next new talk show. Who the hell is this? Is that? I guess that's the name of it.
And you're probably wondering, how exactly did the Pizza Pie make it on the Pylon Show? Well, it's all thanks to one of the tournament's casters.
I'm known as Uncommon. I've been playing StarCraft for some years. I started recording kind of my improvement journey, putting that on YouTube, and found my way kind of into the Chobo Team League and that StarCraft community before meeting Shazam. And I kind of just became his go-to caster for a long time.
So how did you discover the Pizza Pie?
I believe a lot of this just revolves around mine and Shazam Poof's friendship. Because it's something he's been doing for quite some time. I'm not sure exactly how long, 4 or 5 years now. Essentially, we've been friends for a while, and I was casting his tournaments. He loves making tournaments for the clan, or his clan at the time. He had this idea where he was starting up the Pizza Pie, and I offered to, kind of like I was starting to become a little bit of a regular caster, started doing his Pizza Pie form. And this was probably to the tune of 2 or 3 people at a time, kind of the viewers we bring in, and then maybe 4 to 6 players at a time. And so I guess one of my things is I want to help other people succeed. I want to help them succeed because that's how you succeed yourself. You surround yourself with good friends. You help them with their projects. You build them up. I think I just offered, or he asked, and I just said, yeah, why not? Let's do this thing. Let's put my best foot forward. I was streaming, I think, 5 days a week at the time.
When did you get the idea to be like, hey, we should get this on the Pylon Show? Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so this is the story. I looked back at my not my note, but my Twitter messages. I went back through to the Discord. So the Pylon comes out, and it's exciting. It's a great idea. It's great content. We start watching it, and one day they said, "Hey, we're putting together a list of community events. We're looking for the tournaments, those big tournaments out there. Let us know what you have going on, and we'll do a segment on the show where we talk about like this week in StarCraft." But they specifically said, "Hey, none of those super small tournaments, and we're a 2 or 3 viewer tournament. We have a couple of players. I think at that point it was just Starkiller showing up every week and taking the pizza. That's why he got a huge head start. And I was just like, yeah, that's definitely not us at all. Screw it. Let's go give it a swing. And all I do is message, Matt Land, Cobra, on Twitter. I said, hey, here's who I am. I cast some StarCraft. I've worked with the Chobo Team League. I'm a community manager for All Inspiration. And I didn't mention the pizza pie. I just said, hey, can I be invited to your list? I don't know if you know that, but it's a Discord server with a channel for content submissions. It was actually just that easy. He says, yeah, here you go, take it. And so I get into the Discord. I get put into the content submission, and I'm looking around, and it's all the big names. Like I'm sitting in here, I'm scrolling down the list now. The Fear Dragon's hanging out in here. Tasteless is in here. Jeff is in here. It's a huge list now. Actually, I was looking through it now. There are hundreds of people who have access to this channel, and I think when I got in, it was 12, and I was the only nobody.
When you hopped into that Discord channel with all those like recognizable names, what was going on through your mind?
Oh, they don't. This isn't gonna work. We're gonna post this, and it's gonna get ignored, and that's cool. But I'm gonna try.
Wow.
Just sneaky. Yeah. So why not? Without telling Shazam, I went ahead and put his tournament and all the details into the submission, and kind of, hey, let's see what happened. And you know what? They talked about it, and Jeff made fun of it, and I was over the top excited about it. And it just seemed to become this thing that we'd go back in, we'd put the submission in, Jeff would make fun of it. I can't believe we're doing this again. And it kind of we just kept going with it until at a certain point, Alessander, the show notes person, just started showing up to the stream, taking, clips, putting them in the show, screenshots. My face got to be on the Pylon Show a couple times. That was exciting. And it kind of just spiraled out of control there until we actually went out of our way. We got to go to BlizzCon and meet the crew and say, hey, we're the pizza people.
And how was that, like meeting the actual people behind the Pylon Show?
Oh man, it was amazing. We took photos. Me and Tom went together, and fortunately got to see Geoff and Artosis, and we had a good laugh about it, and yeah, it was fantastic. Super gonna be a highlight of my life forever.
Did you guys talk about the pizza pie with them? Did they say anything in particular? We
were so nervous. Jeff, for the most part, when we went up there and we introduced ourselves, he said, he really appreciated the work we were doing, and it's great that the community gets together and uplift StarCraft.
When he told you that, how did you feel at that moment? Like,
oh, I mean, a little, excited, giddy, over the moon. It's nice. It's nice to meet your heroes and just have them say nice things about you.
Finally meeting their heroes at BlizzCon, the pizza pie would go on.
Once again, the most epic of tournaments.
There it is.
The pizza pie bi-weekly. The pizza pie
Every week,
bi-weekly.
man. Every fucking week. I love it.
He's on top of it. All right. It is number 35. So this is going to be the 35th pizza. All right. The pizza pie weekly, number 38. We already know all about this tournament.
It wouldn't be the Pylon Show without mention of number 8 here. The Pizza Pie Weekly, number 39 of this son of a bitch. That's so much pizza going out there.
The legendary, the greatest, the best of all tournaments, the Pizza Pie, no longer bi-weekly, but weekly.
Thank God.
Number 42. Can you see how many pizzas that they are? Wow. The guy that orders the pizzas for these people is going to be on a first-name basis with some of these pizza parlors.
StarKiller was 17. The dude's got to like not win as much for the sake of his diet, maybe.
The Pizza Pie Weekly, number 44.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, StarKiller SC did not win his 18th pizza this week. Instead, Future took down Panda Bear Me in the finals and took home that delicious pie. Now, of course, the most important part of this week in StarCraft,
please tell me it involves
the Pizza
Thank you.
Pie Weekly. Looks like Riser won 2-0 over Sis, and that's his second pizza win.
Wow.
Of course, everyone's still pretty far away from StarKiller SC. You know, I think that the Pizza Pie is getting more good players entering it each week.
Yep.
And I feel like we're not going to see StarKiller SC win anymore. I have this feeling. He hasn't won in weeks now, Jeff.
I'm concerned for his health. They gave us some. We actually met a lot of these guys at BlizzCon, and they said that all these mentions, joking aside, has actually really helped them get more recognition and more people are signing up. So yeah, that's fun to hear. Get out there, get yourself a pizza, take it away from StarKiller, because the other side of this too is if you eat too much pizza, you can get obese. You don't want that. So.
Well, that's why we need to foster a competitive scene around the Pizza Pie Weekly.
Yeah, Salad Pie Weekly.
So that the pizza gets spread around.
Oh my God. The signups of the people who have won this is like actually, in a lot of ways, a better list than a lot of just open bracket NA events with $100. This is sick.
The Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly Season 3. Now we're getting to the real news here. Yes. Wait a minute. StarKiller is finally won another pizza after so long. It's been over 1 year since he won the pizza tournament.
And on January 13th, 2019, the Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly Supreme would begin to spice things up and allow an additional one topping on your pizza. It would also drop the name Bi-Weekly Supreme from its name and be known what it is today, the Pizza Pie. But deciding on it was actually pretty tough. What is it about you sticking with pizza and not changing the prize ever? Is that just because pizza's your favorite food, or like why is that?
So this has been a topic before, because like I said, it's our biggest asset, but also it's a pain in the rear end, especially for how big the StarCraft 2 scene is. It is definitely saturated, potentially even oversaturated with events. If you want to title a tournament, insert X Star League, you're probably going to run into issues because it already has existed at one point in time. As much as it is a nuisance, we can't get rid of it. I just can't, because then one, it's not the Pizza Pie anymore. Its name wouldn't make any sense, and two, like I feel like I might even get backlash at this point and be like, you can't change that. I know even when I debated it with some of the people that we were running it with when we went to the season format, and I debated, we were even talking about changing the name. I got some serious flack from looking at altering things too much. And that was just changing the name of the tournament away from the Pizza Pie.
What names did you consider?
So the name that I was looking at was, it was Pizza and Prizes. So it still had pizza in it, because I wanted to indicate that we were more than just a pizza now, because it's when we started to introduce a prize pool. If any time would be to drop the pizza, it'd be at that point as well. And so, because then we just move to your standard prize pool for a tournament. But yeah, so we were like, we can't, because there's no other tournament. I would be more than happy if someone could DM me a link of another tournament that gives away pizza as a prize. Like even in the Pylon Show, one of the things that came up was, I think it was like some StarCraft 1 event, Brood War event, where they were talking about this guy was running an event where you would put up an AI against him, and then if he beat the AI, you would give him a pizza, and if the AI beat you, or your AI beat him, then he would give you a pizza. But he was just talking about the PayPal dollar amount for a typical pizza, if I understand correctly. And so even that, I was like, there's always a pizza involved. We're not PayPal money back and forth here. It's I always get proof. Pizzas are changing hands. in that long document of Pylon Show events, it's why anybody cared about us.
And it makes me really happy to know that someone super passionate about the game and this tournament has someone like Shazam bringing the community together, which I believe is why the Pizza Pie gained traction in the first place, and would soon feature well-known players such as Nina, Special, Future, Estrella, Jim Rising, Max Pax, and Bly, just to name a few. It's not something that just happened overnight, and definitely did not go by the Field of Dreams philosophy of, if you build it, they will come. No. Shazam brought together individuals who felt that passion, adapted to situations when it came to deliveries, and put in the work to make it all flourish by putting together a schedule, reminding players that they had a scheduled tournament, finding admins to put the bracket together, messaging players to see if they're interested in playing in this tournament, drafting up rules, keeping track of the pizza points, and getting people to stream and cast the events. That's why the Pizza Pie has been going on for 4 years now, and it's coming up on its 5th year. 5 whole years of running tournaments. Just saying all that, I really can't help but feel stressed and anxious about it. It's a lot of hard work with a ton of moving pieces and a ton of moving pizzas. So, how do you do it? How did you get people to help you? Like, did they willingly volunteer?
Yeah. I mean, I just had a couple of buddies that, and kind of, harking back to what Jeff said, giving back to the community and helping with the community. More than half of my life has been involved in StarCraft in some way. And so that's not the case for everybody. Some people didn't watch StarCraft all throughout their middle school life and high school life and what have you. And people will jump on when they feel the passion, sometimes jump off when it fades. And that's something you got to be prepared for and be willing to move and groove with the punches. But I think there is an innate want or liking to be a part of something bigger than yourself. And that doesn't have to be sending an astronaut to the moon. There's people that, you just enjoy spending time with together, and you hop on a project, bang in a couple of nails, and hopefully you come out with a chair after a lot of carpentry work. But sometimes things just come together, and sometimes, a lot of the times, they fall flat. But every once in a while, you're running a tournament for 5 years.
How long do you see the Pizza Pie going on for?
I have no idea. And this is like where I have a big aversion to naming anything after myself, and I hate it, and I hate it,
Mm-hmm.
because the reason why it's not the Shazam Poof League is because I've always wanted it to be bigger than myself. If I put down the mantle, it'd be nice for somebody to pick it back up again, or for me to hand it off to somebody is what I meant. And so that way, maybe when I'm not able to do it, somebody else is able to run the Pizza Pie. Or if there is a break, sort of like Ednal did, where he was looking to start it back up again. And no one's would ever do that with the Shazam Poof Leagues. Nobody cares about Shazam Poof. There was a joke back when Coltarn was the caster, of where people would come up to him and be like, "Oh, you're the guy that runs the Pizza Pie." And I'd be like, "Come on, man. What about me?" but I never want it. Like, I'd much rather have the Pizza Pie be known more than anything else. And so, I mean, it could end if all of a sudden the money isn't there through the sponsorships and partnerships. It could end this season. It could end, 5 seasons down the line, and maybe somebody who's younger with deeper pockets, or both, all of a sudden I get a message from like Ednal number 2, and he's like, "Hey, I want to pick this thing back up." And then sort of I give him a little bit of the ropes, and then watch the Pizza Pie go on its merry way. So that would be Dad's dream of watching my little Pizza Pie go off to college and get a girlfriend administrator and have them run off together and create their own nice life.
Like into a deep dish pizza, or?
Nope. New York style only.
And for somebody that wants to run a tournament, what advice would you give them?
What advice? When it comes to your project, No one is more passionate than you are. The steps that you have to take in your tournament should always be as few as possible, and all of that work should fall on your shoulders. People, they sign up for a tournament to play StarCraft. Every time they have to do something that is slightly not that, there is a huge aversion to it, whether that be finding matches, let's say, to schedule them or anything like that. If it's not there in front of them, if I'm not, seeding the bracket and doing all that stuff, someone else is going to be doing that for them. And all they want to do is play StarCraft, which is what they want. They don't want to do the work. That's why not everybody runs their own tournament. Because I will always see like these grandiose ideas of this would be the perfect tournament. And it's absolutely a great idea. It absolutely is. But no one's going to do it because it takes too much time. It's too much free labor. It depends on people other than yourself. And when you get so far away from people playing StarCraft, it becomes a lot harder to have people do it. And so when it comes to that advice, like that was some of like the tournaments that I was talking about at the very beginning of my career. I had great frameworks for, I had great structures for. If everybody cared as much as I did, it would run great. But the issue is it's your idea, right? It's your thing that you think is cool. Of course, you're going to be the most passionate about it. Other people are passionate about playing StarCraft, and that's what they want to do.
That's awesome, man. That's very inspiring because that's pretty much how I feel about this podcast too. It's just like your idea and you're doing it, and it's really difficult to find people that are similar to that mentality. It's hard because it's free labor essentially.
Right. Exactly. Like I'm here on the show right now, but who's going to do the editing? Who's going to take my long-witted answers where I say 20 sentences and wind up back at the end of my first ones where I could have just ended perfectly fine and not had anything? To be perfectly honest, Nish, I'm not going to do that. I am going to eventually hang up this call and then go do something else, right? And so it's up to you to take that passion that you run with and run with it till the end.
Shazam is now part of Team Alpha X, where he's still helping with tournaments and still bringing community together. The pizza pie is still going strong. They now include a cash prize along with a medium one-topping pizza. They also just announced that they have now gone weekly. Editing, music, and production was done by your host, Christopher Lopez. Once again, you can follow the StarCraft Observer on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, or on Facebook. Outro music by the talented Televangel. Head on over to their Bandcamp or YouTube. You can also find Televangel on Spotify. More details about Televangel in the podcast show notes. Until next time, friends, thank you very much.